Hello and welcome to this video presentation about the Route 48 Transit Plus Multimodal Corridor project. My name is Ching Chan and I am the Public Engagement Lead for this project with the Seattle Department of Transportation. In this presentation, we will introduce the project and project team, share project background, an overview of the project scope, and our next steps. Presenting with me in this video include Matthew Crane, Project Manager with King County Metro, Iona McKenzie, Project Manager with Seattle Department of Transportation, and Elizabeth Wooten, Project Developer with Seattle Department of Transportation. To start off, I will provide some background on the Route 48 and why it was included in the Transit Plus Multimodal Corridor program. The map here is oriented with north to the left to better fit the screen. The orange line represents the path of King County Metro's Route 48, which stretches 6.5 miles, serving the Mount Baker, Beacon Hill, Jenkins, Central District, Capitol Hill, Montlake, and University District neighborhoods. It is a critical north to south transit route in the heart of Seattle with frequent all-day service. It arrives every 15 minutes for most part of the day. There are several important destinations on the corridor, including the University of Washington Medical Center and University of Washington campus, Swedish Cherry Hill, many private and public schools, and several distinct neighborhood retail hubs. The Route 48 also provides key connections to other existing high-frequency transit lines, including the University of Washington and Mount Baker Link light rail stations. And in just a few years, the Route 48 will also connect to the Rapid Ride G line on Madison Street and the new Jenkins Park Link light rail station at I-90. It also overlaps with Transit Plus Multimodal Corridor projects on either end, Route 44 in the University District and Route 7 on Rainier Avenue. As a result, the scope of our project is focused on the 24th and 23rd Ave portion, between Montlake and Rainier Ave, which is shown here in the blue line. Our project is closely coordinated with multiple projects along the corridor. They are characterized in this table to reflect their timeframes in relation to the Route 48 Transit Plus Multimodal Corridor project schedule. Both Phase 1 and 2 of the 23rd Ave Vision Zero project, south of Madison Street, have been completed, and Phase 3, north of Madison Street, is currently underway, as is the Rapid Ride G line project on Madison Street. Other Transit Plus Multimodal Corridor projects on both ends of our corridor are going to be underway soon. Both are planned to be completed prior to our project starting construction. Then there are several projects related to the East Link light rail extension near the future Jenkins Park station, which are all on a similar timeline as our Transit Plus Multimodal Corridor project, with the station planned to be open in 2023. As we develop our design, we are coordinating closely with King County Metro, Sound Transit, and other SDOT divisions to make sure we are all on the same page in this area. And after the completion of our project, King County Metro has a capital project to add trolley bus infrastructure to the corridor to make the Route 48 a fully electric route. Now I'll hand it over to Matthew with King County Metro to share some background information on the Route 48.
Thanks, Ching. I'm Matthew Crane. I'm with King County Metro and I'm a transportation planner. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the Route 48. So on this slide here, you can see the Route 48's average weekday ridership for the fall of each year going back to 2016. Prior to 2019, ridership on the route was steadily increasing towards about 6,000 average daily riders. In 2017, the Route 48 received an 8% increase in bus service via the Seattle Transportation Benefit District. This resulted in about a 4% increase in ridership. In 2019, ridership decreased slightly, which coincided with a period of elevated construction along the corridor and overall citywide congestion, collectively referred to as the Seattle squeeze. The Route 48's on-time performance dropped to 84% on weekdays and was experiencing slower travel speeds as a result of this congestion. As with the entire transit network, Ridership on the Route 48 dipped significantly in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic, down to about 30% of its 2019 ridership level. But as you can see on this chart, ridership has begun recovering. And as of spring 2022, ridership has recovered to about 60% of its pre-COVID level, which is higher than the system-wide average of 50%. Looking ahead, we anticipate that the ridership on the Route 48 will continue to rebound. The Route 48 is a unique bus route in Seattle in that it does not travel into the downtown area, but it does serve many diverse communities along central Seattle's east side. The route provides critical first and last mile connections between neighborhoods and other frequent transit routes intersecting the corridor. It also provides more direct connections for people with destinations outside of the downtown area. When looking at the population that lives adjacent to the Route 48 corridor, there are several demographic characteristics that are more prevalent compared to the citywide average. For example, BIPOC community members have a higher representation on the corridor relative to the overall citywide average. Nearly 7,000 community members speak a language other than English. In particular, there are concentrations of people who speak Cantonese, Mandarin, Korean, Spanish, and African languages in certain segments of the corridor. 28% of the population served by the Route 48 is characterized as low income. This compares to 19% citywide average. And in the U District, nearly half of households are transit dependent, and 95% of those households are renter occupied. The Route 48 also provides important transit service to members of our blind and low vision community, which access resources at the Lighthouse for the Blind, which is located near the southern end of the corridor. Now I'll turn it over to Iona, who will provide an overview of our project objectives, schedule, and funding information.
Thank you, Matthew. My name is Iona McKenzie, and I am the project manager for this project. The purpose and goals of this project are consistent with the larger TPMC program, which is to make bus trips faster and more reliable, to make it safer and easier for people to get to and on buses, and to respond to the needs of the community and their priorities. This project was identified in the Levy to Move Seattle and Metro Connect plans. The 23rd Avenue Vision Zero project, phase 1 and phase 2, has been completed between Rainier Avenue and Madison Street, while the area north of Madison is now under construction as part of phase 3. These projects implemented many roadway and street improvements that would typically be addressed in a TPMC project. Because of this, our project will focus more on implementing transit priority improvements while ensuring multimodal access and ensuring that safety are maintained for people walking, biking, and rolling. As we continue to engage the community, we will work to respond to their needs and priorities and follow through as part of our levy commitment. The project schedule is shown in this graphic. The planning phase reflects the conceptual design effort that occurred in 2019. The grant application process was completed in 2020, and the project development phase officially kicked off last April. We are currently working towards reaching the 30% planning design milestone in early summer. And construction is expected to begin in mid-2023, and the project is anticipated to be completed at the end of that year, which aligns with our grant funding requirement. The funding identified for this project is a little over $2.5 million, with nearly $1 million coming from the Levy to Move Seattle funds, $1.1 million from the federal funding through the Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality CMAQ grant program, with the remaining $400,000 coming from the Metro NLC state grant. Now I will turn it over to Elizabeth to share more about what improvements we are planning to make with these funds.
Thanks, Iona. My name is Elizabeth Wooten, and I am a project developer with SDOT. As Iona mentioned, the scope and budget of the Route 48 project is narrower than some of the other TPMC projects, given the investments already made or underway along the corridor. Our project scope is more heavily focused on transit priority improvements, which is in alignment with our grant funding. We will go into more detail on the following slides, but the main scope elements include a bus lane concept on the south end of the corridor, signal upgrades at several locations to support transit signal priority, and some targeted crossing enhancements. Our project proposes to install a southbound bus lane between Massachusetts Street and Rainier Avenue. The plan is to convert the southbound curbside lane to a bus lane between Massachusetts Street and Grand Street, and also provide a transition zone between Grand Street and Plum Street, and then convert the center lane of the approach at Rainier Avenue South to a transit-only left turn lane. Non-transit traffic will still be able to make all the same movements at the intersection with a left turn only lane and a curbside lane for through movements and right turns. The transit-only approach lane at Rainier Avenue South is expected to reduce transit delay in the PM peak hour by roughly 30%. We are coordinating closely with both Metro and SDOT in this area as we plan for the future Judkin Park Station opening. Metro is looking at relocating bus stops to improve stop spacing in the vicinity of the station, and SDOT is looking into new pedestrian crossing at Grand Street to improve access to the station. If a new signalized intersection is implemented at Grand Street, there may be an opportunity to leverage it to create a queue jump and further improve transit travel time and reliability in this segment. The biggest element of our scope is signal upgrades to support transit signal priority, or TSP. TSP uses wireless communications between signals and buses to help keep buses moving along the corridor. For instance, if a bus is approaching a signalized intersection, the signal may extend the green time slightly to make sure the bus gets through. Business rules will be established to determine the exact signal phasing modification, but all minimum crossing times will be maintained so people walking or rolling on the corridor would not be negatively impacted. And the signal adjustments are expected to be relatively minor, up to 10 seconds or so, and therefore waiting times should not be noticeably increased. To implement TSP, signal upgrades are required at the 15 intersections shown on this graphic with orange dots. Upgrades can include getting fiber communications to the signal cabinet, installing an updated signal controller, and in some cases, replacing the signal cabinet. Once these upgrades are made, every signalized intersection in our project will be capable of TSP, or transit signal priority. And lastly, SDOT's Vision Zero team noted a history of crashes at 24th Avenue and Boyer Avenue in Montlake and made recommendations to improve safety and transit access, which have been included in our project. First off, the signal timing will be modified to create an exclusive phase for northbound and southbound left turns. Currently, these left turns have a permitted protected phase, which means sometimes the left turns happen while pedestrians have a walk signal. If fully protected, northbound and southbound left turns will only occur on the green arrow when pedestrians have a do not walk signal. We will also be improving accessibility by rebuilding all curb ramps and upgrading the pedestrian push buttons with vibro tactile buttons to create an accessible pedestrian signal. And we will also install leading pedestrian intervals to give pedestrians a head start in the crosswalks, as well as install larger signal heads for better visibility and driver compliance. That summarizes all the scope we have identified at this point to include in our project. We hope to reach our 30% design milestone in July and follow that up with a broader public outreach effort over the summer. At that time, we will be creating in-language materials to make sure we are reaching the diverse population that lives along the Route 48 corridor. Any feedback we receive during outreach will be considered prior to reaching 60% design, which is scheduled for October of this year. Thank you for taking an interest in the Route 48 Transit Plus Multimodal Corridor project. If you have any questions, please reach out to the project team via email, route48@seattle.gov. You can also visit our project webpage for the latest information and to sign up for our project email list or learn more about other ways to get involved. We look forward to hearing from you.